Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're actually starting our journey way up in the clouds, looking down at the Earth far below us. We're zeroing in on a total architectural marvel, a place that completely blurs the line between art and warfare. Get ready, because we're about to explore a spot where urban planning meets absolute mathematical precision. Now, you might be wondering, what city was designed to be read from the sky? It almost sounds like a riddle straight out of a sci-fi novel, doesn't it? But as we drift our imaginary lens over the plains of Friuli-Venezia Giulia in northern Italy, this incredible, almost alien-looking shape pops out of the landscape. It's a massive, perfectly symmetrical geometric figure literally carved right into the earth. It really makes you stop and think, who on earth builds a city for an audience in the clouds, centuries before airplanes were even a thing? Section 1, the star in the plains. When you look at it from above, Palmanova looks way less like a normal town, and much more like a carefully drawn star just pressed right into the Italian plains. And let me tell you, this striking geometry was absolutely no accident. Every single angle, every line, every street you see was meticulously calculated. It's a deliberate, incredibly confident statement carved into the soil. And the reason for this rigid star-like shape? Well, it wasn't just to look pretty for the birds. It was all about overlapping fields of fire. By angling the walls just right, the designers made sure there were absolutely zero blind spots where an approaching enemy could hide. 9. That's the magic number here. The walls of Palmanova aren't your run-of-the-mill circle or a standard square. Nope, they form a perfectly precise, 9-pointed nonagon. This flawless star is the literal and metaphorical foundation of the entire settlement. It dictates exactly where people live, where they walk, and, as we're about to dive into, exactly how they defended themselves against anyone foolish enough to attack. Section 2, engineered for defense. Okay, let's dive into this. Founded back in 1593 by the powerful Republic of Venice, Palmanova had a really clear dual identity. On one hand, you've got beauty, order, and grand spectacle. But on the other, pure strategy and hardcore defense. This was definitely not just some elaborate art project. Palmanova actually became one of the most highly influential models of early modern military architecture. At the end of the day, it was a fortress first and a home second. So, how did they actually pull off this wild synthesis of art and war? Let's break down the architecture because honestly, every single element has a lethal purpose. The city features radial streets that shoot perfectly outward from a massive central square. Why? Because if the city was attacked, defending troops gathered in the center could rush to any point on the outer wall in a perfectly straight line, saving precious seconds. Then you have those precise 9-pointed walls with their concentric fortifications, guarding gates and bastions. This setup meant defenders could create devastating crossfire. That gorgeous aesthetic beauty we see from above, it was actually a highly functional machine designed to trap and repel invaders. Literally every sightline was a firing line. Section 3, Centuries of Fortification. We start our timeline in 1593, with the original foundation laid down by the Republic of Venice. And, they didn't build this just for fun. They were terrified of the expanding Ottoman Empire and the looming threat of the Austrians. They needed an impenetrable stronghold to lock down their regional borders. But a fortress as well designed doesn't just retire when borders shift. Fast forward to the Napoleonic period, and we see these already formidable concentric walls being actively strengthened and expanded by Napoleon's occupying forces. And that whole journey brings us to today, where the city has finally transitioned from a weapon of war into a peaceful, protected UNESCO World Heritage Site. To be exact about its modern significance, Palmanova is officially recognized under the UNESCO designation Venetian Works of Defense between the 16th and 17th centuries. So it isn't just some quirky local tourist spot, right? This designation recognizes Palmanova's lasting global architectural legacy. It totally grounds the city's deeply historical value in the present day as a heavily protected and treasured piece of human ingenuity. It literally belongs to world history. Section 4. A city read from the sky. And this brilliantly illustrates the true magic of Palmanova. As the quote says, "Walk through its gates and bastions, and the star becomes more than a shape. It becomes a city meant to be read from the sky." When you're down on the ground walking around, you can physically feel the imposing weight of the military history in the stonework. But when you mentally zoom out and realize what it forms as a whole, it elevates the entire experience. The aerial view reveals the whole concept at a glance. Incredible beauty and ruthless strategy seamlessly combined into one single, undeniable design. You see, Palmanova's breathtaking symmetry was a direct reflection of a 16th century society that was forced to prioritize defense while still desperately valuing order and spectacle. So think about it. Look around the city or town you live in today. How do our modern city designs reflect our current values compared to the strategic beauty of Palmanova? What does the geometry of our modern world actually say about what we prioritize? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it encourages you to keep an eye out for the hidden structures and histories in the world all around you. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.